day in my art studio. My name is Sienna and I am a fiber artist, sculptor, textile mischief maker, experimenter, and I'm excited to bring you all along today in my space. I would say it's a pretty average studio day, but it really changes day to day because I work with different materials, different colors, different textures, different techniques, different sizes, and sometimes I'm just doing like administrative work and it's a lot of computer screen time, and other days I'm focusing on my side hustle, which is digital marketing. And today though, it's just gonna be studio time. It's actually already the afternoon. But I spent the morning with my daughter. She's almost 16 months old, and I baked her favorite muffins and we played, and it's nice to have a slow morning. And she's actually down for a nap right now, which is why I am on the quieter side. I don't want to wake her. But her nap times, she now just naps once a day. It's crazy thinking back when she was a newborn. It was so many naps, like every 2 hours she would be sleeping, and it really in a way was restricting for me of what I was able to do. So now that she is just napping once a day for like an hour and a half to 3 hours if I'm lucky, I am able to tackle not all, but I try to tackle as many tasks that I can that are hard to do around a baby, or maybe a bit dangerous to do around a little one. So I just actually finished doing some yoga. I've had such I would say an inconsistent journey with yoga lately. Movement is so important to my body and my mind, and I know that. But being the main caretaker for Luna on top of working, like my time is just so limited that for the past year and a half, or I'd say after my body healed from birth and I could start moving again, I just found it really hard, and I still do to this day, of when I have the time, I don't choose movement or meditation or breath work. I choose housework or artwork or just trying to be really productive. And I need to remind myself that yoga and movement is productive. It's just a slower paced practice that my body needs so badly, to be honest, because I end up falling asleep quite a bit in Luna's bed. She has like a Montessori style floor bed, but it is the size for a baby, and she's up a lot throughout the night, and so I go to her and to get her back to bed, and I end up just falling asleep there. So like my shoulders, my back, everything is pretty tight and achy, and I just need to stop prioritizing, honestly, work and chores. Now that I've gotten movement done, Luna's asleep, I've had lunch, I am going to pack some orders. I recently launched these cute little sculptures, and so I have a few orders that I need to fulfill and get ready for shipment. I'm also going to be working on another collection of mini sculptures. I love making tiny versions of my work. Is really satisfying for me personally, but for my community, why I'm choosing to make these tiny sculptures is that as a fine artist, my art is inherently a higher price point, and that is because it is super time intensive. I try to work with organic, natural materials, which tend to be more expensive, especially with inflation right now. And I value my time, and so I price my time appropriately. But I know that a lot of my sculptures are not within a lot of people's budgets. So I've decided to make these tiny versions of them that are still with the same materials and similar processes. Just, they're so cute. But I've decided to make these mini sculptures because they are more affordable for people to still be able to have a piece of my art in their collection, to decorate their home with a punch of textile and color and texture. And also if they're just looking to support my small business, which supports me and my family and my daughter. Anyways, in addition to packing up some orders, working on some new little mini sculptures, I am also going to work on a sculpture that has been just on the sidelines for far too long, and I really want to play with it and figure out what direction it's going to take. Let me grab what it looks like. So this is a piece of the process, or this is a piece of the textile sculpture, and I'm not exactly sure what form it's going to take, what size. I might implement other textures, and yeah, I'm really not sure. So I kind of want to play around with this and see where it will go, which I think will be a nice break up from the other work that I have to do.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and a hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow only golden. Golden, golden things. Gold hair, gold rings, gold leaves, gold anything, golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things. Walk up the river by my son. Feet step over splinters of the moon. Golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Gold birds, gold string, gold words, gold anything, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Golden, I'll follow only golden, golden, golden things.
So I have been playing around with these forms for a little while, trying to identify the composition that I might pursue for this new sculpture, but who knows what it will really come to in the end. Back in 2021 is when I first started playing around with this process of layering and loosely weaving this felt together to create this very organic wave-like wall sculpture. And so that piece back in 2021 is no longer with me. It debuted in a gallery in upstate New York. That was followed by Scope Miami Art Fair, and that's actually where it sold. I exhibited with the gallery Singular that represents me. That was an incredible experience. My first like major art fair in a huge city, and it was me and two other artists out of all the artists that Singular represents. They chose the three of us. I was very honored. And so that's where this original piece sold to a luxury fashion designer's headquarters. So I had all this fabric or this felt left over, and a little while ago I started making these forms again and just set it aside for a while because had other commissions, projects, had a baby, and I was for a while working with this type of sculpture but in a white cream palette. So I've gone back to the pink because I have all this felt, and yeah, I feel like I might as well just take a break from my other work and put together this piece. But I'd like to take a different approach from the last variations of this. I have been considering including some of the texture that you've seen in Slurp, and I've actually done a few other sculptures with this like fringe tufted texture, and I'm just wondering if maybe it would look nice with these two contrasting textures. And I'm not sure yet. I'm really not sure yet what I will do. But I have plenty of material to play around with, and I'm not going to make any decisions today, but I'm going to continue to snip this texture and start to play around with placement and see how it looks. And I'm just so tempted to make this like huge piece. Like I would love to make a 12 foot by 12 foot version of this, and it's the plan in the future, but it needs to have a home. It has to have a designated home before I make something that size, because I just don't really have the space in my studio for that to live until it is sold or exhibited. And I think that's the biggest thing that's holding me back from making really large work. I've always been drawn to like massive textile, or just not even textile, but just massive sculptures. And I have so many ideas of what I would want to do, things that are like very invasive into a space and just growing out of the walls. And I've also dreamt since I started playing around with textiles 10 years ago of like making an interactive exhibition where people can actually physically engage with my installations. And again, like it's so possible, and I have the ideas and I have the skill set and I have the passion, but what I don't have is space. I have the space to make it now. Like I can definitely make large work in my studio and in my home. If need be, like I could take over Marc's studio side. But really the issue is just like long-term storage. Like after something's made, where would it live in my house? In the meantime, I'm just hopeful that some of these pending commission opportunities come to life because they are larger works. And yeah, I'm really just drawn to larger works, which is funny because I've been so obsessed with making these little sculptures, and the little ones are fun. They're definitely fun, but I mean, have you ever gone to a museum or a gallery and you walk into a room and there's this massive painting or wall sculpture or print or whatever it may be, but it can be so impactful. And I'm not saying that bigger is always better and bigger is always brings the wow factor, because tiny and mid-sized work can do the same. And I actually think there's a lot of work that's very large that falls flat because they're relying on the size for the success factor, and that's about it. So it's not all about size, but just for me personally, I know that my work could really be impactful at a large scale. So before I dive into the early stages of making these micro mini Patchinoy sculptures, I wanted to just give some context of the original, which is just so squishy and three-dimensional. So back in 2018 is when I first started making this type of wall sculpture, and I've made lots of different variations of colors and a handful of different sizes that have sold over the years. And as far as Germany, actually, one of them, sold to a company in Germany. But I, at the time, was going to be exhibiting with a gallery in Hudson Valley, New York. And so I made this beautiful triptych specifically for this event. And at the time, I was really obsessed with different oddly shaped bulbous cacti on Pinterest. I do a lot of inspiration sourcing through Pinterest. I think it's an amazing resource for artists. And a lot of these cacti had just like bizarre color combinations that you would not necessarily even think was possible in the natural world. And so that's what sparked this series that I've continued to this day, and I really do love them. The only struggle that I have with these guys is that they're harder to ship. I have to definitely get like the really sturdy cardboard crate and just secure them, because if they are flipped upside down, it can, damage them more than some of my other sculptures, but they're so worth it. I mean, it's so cuddly.